Hi everybody, I've got another tutorial for you. This is Surya Namaskar B. So these are the longest sun salutations that we do in Ashtanga regularly. I also sometimes teach these in my Hatha style classes and do sequences based on these in the Vinyasa flow, the Thursday lunchtime class. This sun salutation gives you an opportunity to work more deeply into the hips as we introduce Utkatasana, it's chair posture, and Virabhadrasana, which is warrior. So we're going to look at these postures first and then look at how to transition in and out when you're in your sun salutation and flowing with the breath. Okay, let's give it a go. So starting off in Utkatasana chair pose. We've got the knees bent, the feet are together. So as we bend the knees, we're going to send the hips back to the weights down into the heels. We're not going to let the knees come forwards. Keeping the weight back as you bend the knees, sink the hips. And you might come down into a really low position here, or you might be more upright. It's going to depend on your body and how this works for you. We're going to avoid overarching into the lumbar, and equally, we're not going to tuck the tailbone all the way under. We're just going to have a nice neutral position for the lower back here. So sink those hips down low and then stretch the arms up. Now if the shoulders are very tight, you might leave the hands apart and reach through the fingertips. Or you can bring the hands together and you're looking up to those fingertips. Now this might look more like this, more of an upright position. Or you might be really sinking down into those hips. It depends what you want to get from this posture. The more you sink into the hips, the more work you'll find into the hip flexors, into the ankles, into the back to the calves and the Achilles. But if this is uncomfortable in the lower back or anywhere, then maybe try a more upright position and see if that feels better. Okay, so that will be our starting position. That Utkatasana, chair posture, also known as awkward pose, and sometimes have different names. Now our warrior, the back foot in warrior pose is turned out to the side, and the front foot has the toes pointing forwards. The feet are quite a distance apart because when we bend into that front knee, we want the knee to be above the ankle, not past it anywhere. And the hips want to face your front. And you'll notice when you do this that as you turn your hips forwards, this back foot wants to roll in and this knee wants to roll in. So we have to work against that, grounding down through the outside edge of that back foot, but still trying to rotate the hips round to the front. And we want to sink down into that front knee as much as we can. Now we're lifting the arms up again. And as you lift the arms, these ribs might want to flare out in front of you. So we want to draw the lower ribs down, keep the abdominals engaged, and use an in-breath to lift those hands up. Same as with Utkatasana, you can leave a gap between the hands if the shoulders are tight here, or bring the palms together. Lower ribs are still drawing down, abdominals are engaged, then you can lift the gaze up to those fingertips. And this is our warrior, Virabhadrasana, strong pose. Okay. Put your arms down. Just try that on the other side. So step your back foot forwards, step your front foot back. Take those feet to a nice long stance. Ground down through that back foot. Rotate the hips round. Sink down into the front knee. Check the back foot still grounded, especially through the outside edge, that little toe edge. And try and turn the hips all the way around to the front. Lower ribs draw slightly in. Feel your abdominals switching on and working. Use your in-breath to lift the hands up. Maybe gaze up. And check in with everything. Are your feet still grounded? Are you still sinking into that front knee? Have your ribs flared up? You need to draw those lower ribs in. Then as you exhale, just bring those arms down now and step that back foot forwards. So as you move through your Surya Namaskar, You might not always get to your best expression of your warrior because you're not staying there for a long time. You're moving with your breath. But if you're working into your hips and you want to develop some more openness there, you might pause there for a little bit longer or really slow the breath down so you can take your time in these positions, getting the work from these positions. Okay. So let's start going through our sun salutation, looking at the transitions. I'm not going to concentrate too much on the lowering down from plank to chaturanga because I've addressed that already. And the transitions that are the same as Surya Namaskar A, again, might not go through these in quite so much detail. So the first breath is an inhale. And on that inhale, we move from Samasthiti, equal standing posture, both feet down, hands by the side, into Utkatasana, chair posture. So come to standing, arms down, switch on your legs, lower ribs in, bandhas lifting, abdominals engaged. And as you inhale, bend the knees, sink the hips, reach the hands up. Good. Now as you exhale, you're going to fold forwards. First of all, think about the belly moving onto the thighs. Keep the knees bent and the hands come down onto the floor. Just as with Surya Namaskar A, we want to place the hands flat onto the floor. Now, after you've done this, belly to thighs, hands to floor, you're still on the same exhale. You will be moving slightly quicker than this. You might then start to straighten the legs a little, reaching the tailbone up to the sky and letting the head move in towards the legs. Depending on your flexibility, this might be just a very small movement, or it might be coming all the way into a straight-legged position. So as always, do what's right for you. Okay, let's try that again with the breath. Samasthiti. Inhaling, Utkatasana, chair pose, looking up. Exhaling, folding forwards, belly to thighs, hands down, then head in. Good. Now from here we inhale, bringing the weight more into the hands as we look forwards, just like Surya Namaskar A. Exhaling as you step back to your high plank position and lower the body down. Rolling onto the tops of the feet to inhale into your upwards facing dog. Or maybe you're adapting to a cobra or a shalabhasana. If you're in your up dog, remember the thighs are lifted here. You're super strong. And then as you exhale, lift your hips, coming into your downwards facing dog. Okay. So let's modify this first of all. We're going to come into a high lunge position instead of that warrior just now. So this is a good way to start off if you're very new to this, to get the action of bringing that leg forwards. So on an inhalation, we're going to lift onto the ball of that left foot, round the spine slightly so this knee can move towards the chest and step that foot down between the hands, getting it as far forwards as you can. And then reach the arms up. This is breathing in as you come here. So here we're in a high lunge instead of a warrior. And as I say, this might be a starting point for you until you can work into the warrior. Now, as you exhale, bring the hands down. We're still on this same exhale as we step this front foot back. And as we step this foot back, we're trying not to lift this hip up. So work on extending that leg back without moving anything else. And we're still exhaling to lower here. Inhaling, up dog. Exhaling, down dog. Okay, now that left foot's coming forward. So again, we'll take the high lunge this time. Coming onto the ball of the right foot a little way. Draw the knee in towards you so the spine has to round to give some space. And we step that foot all the way down between the hands. As you inhale, lift the body up, lift the hands up. Okay, find that strong position here. And then we've got a long exhalation. So we lower the hands down, Step that foot back. Again, practice this movement of getting that leg forwards and back without lifting the hip. Okay, when you're ready, exhaling lower. Inhaling, up dog or cobra. Exhaling, down dog. And we pause now in this downward facing dog. So the lower belly is drawing in. The hips are reaching up. The backs of the shoulders are broad. And on your next inhale, you might jump, you might walk, or you might do a big step forwards, lifting the chest. When you get there, weight more into the hands. And exhaling, folding down head towards legs. Inhaling, bending the knees, find that chair pose again. And exhaling to straighten up, Namaskar. So maybe you work on that a few times, coming into the high lunge position before you come to the warrior stance. And this time we're going to do this with that warrior. Okay. So exactly the same, starting your Namaskar. And then inhale, bending the knees, lifting the hands, the hips are going back. Exhaling, folding forwards, belly to thighs, hands to floor, head to knees, then extending the hips up. Inhaling, looking forwards. Exhaling, stepping or jumping if you're used to back, lowering to chaturanga. Inhaling into your back bend. Exhaling, hips high, downwards facing dog. Okay. Now this next transition is what's going to really work your hips, and it's really good to practice. So maybe drop down for a moment and watch before you try this. We're going to turn that left foot out, stepping it forward slightly. So I bring my heel just to about where my toes are, my other foot. And then we're still rounding the spine, but this back foot's going to stay firmly down on the floor as this knee moves forwards, rounding the spine, belly in, and we extend that foot all the way forwards. And it might be that at first your foot comes to here, or even comes to here. But what you do is you keep working it. So you find that position, keep the foot grounded, bring the foot to wherever it comes to, even take your hand and help it move further forwards, or just wiggle it further forwards. It maybe doesn't look the most elegant, but it's going to get you into this pattern of movement. And it's this pattern of movement that's going to help open the hips. Okay, so we'll try that once more. From your downwards dog, maybe you give this a go this time. Turn your left foot out, keep it grounded, step your right foot forwards. Sink down into that knee and breathe in to lift up. And now you found that warrior. Okay, so normally we just pause here, inhale, and then exhale straight away to lower down. We're just going to spend a moment here. And then when you're ready, we're going to take a long exhalation to come back and lower, just like we did from the high lunge. So you might take extra breaths at first, till you get used to extending the breath. And when you can, you take one exhalation, lowering the hands, come onto the ball of the back foot, so that again, you can send this leg back without lifting the hip, lowering to chaturanga. Inhaling, up dog. Exhaling, down dog. Okay, other side. Let's turn that right foot out. Keep that foot grounded. Don't let it roll in. Don't let the heel lift. Round the spine slightly, so you have to really suck the belly in to create space here, so that knee can move forward and that foot reaches as far as it can. Okay, keep working on that drawing in and stepping forwards. Good, maybe practice it again. So you're grounding through that foot, round the spine, step that foot forward, wriggle it if it doesn't go far enough. And then you're inhaling as you lift up, into that warrior position. So spending a moment here today just to work on the alignment in your warrior, settling into this, thinking about all those points, about the feet, the legs, the hips, the ribs, the abdominals. And then when you're ready, working on that long exhalation. So that exhalation is a fold down, pivot on the back foot, step back to a high plank and lower. Inhaling, upwards facing dog. Exhaling, downwards facing dog. Settling into your down dog for 5 full breaths. Steady breaths in and out through the nose. The hands are pushing down. The hips are reaching up and back. And on your next inhale, maybe you walk, maybe you jump, maybe you take a big step forwards, looking up. Exhaling to fold in towards the left. Inhaling to come back to your chair pose, reaching the hands up. And exhaling, coming to Samasthiti. Okay. So let's do that once, all the way through. Just one Surya Namaskar. Think about your transitions and start to learn where you need to put the work in and what habits you got into. And see if you can just work maybe on one habit at a time, changing that habit. And if you start practicing these good habits, grounding through the feet, transitioning in and out of these postures, you'll feel a big difference into the hips and how much openness you can create from this beginning sequence. Okay, come to your Samasthiti. Settle the breath. Lengthen through the abdomen, shoulders back. Inhaling, Utkatasana. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling, lift the chest. Exhaling, step or jump back, lowering down. Inhaling, upwards facing dog. Exhaling, downwards facing dog. Left foot turning out, grounding down. Right foot stepping forwards. Inhaling, Virabhadrasana. Exhaling to lower down to Chaturanga. Inhaling, up dog. Exhaling, down dog. Turning that right foot out, stepping the left foot forwards. Inhaling, finding your warrior. Exhaling, lowering down, coming to Chaturanga. Inhaling, up dog. Exhaling, down dog. Settling here. Steadying the breath. Two more long, steady breaths. Inhaling to step, walk or jump forwards, lift the chest, weight into the hands. Exhaling, fold towards the left. Inhaling, bend the knees, sink the hips, lift the hands, and exhale. Find Samasthiti. Okay, keep working on your Surya Namaskar. I know it's a challenging sequence, lots of stuff going on. If you're practicing each morning and starting to add more into your practice, 5 Surya Namaskar A, 3 Surya Namaskar B, just work from there, see how you get on. I'd love to hear how you're doing, so feel free to send me a message at any point. Bye.